Hey. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. I'm your humble host, Fizz Ed Music, and this right here, this is Urban Politics. I want to thank you all for liking and subscribing as you do. Please, as soon as you have a chance, take a little cell phone over to YouTube, like and subscribe. Fizz Ed Music, Urban Politics. Without further ado, I want to jump right into it like a car and drive. Bear with me, ladies and gentlemen. I've been working with a new little printer I got that prints stuff straight off the phone. So I'm going to do this, doing my notes like this, try to expedite things for y'all. No difference for y'all, just something new I'm trying. So check me out though. We're gonna talk about some stuff that a Harvard trained psychologist said if you use any of these 9 phrases every day, you are an emotionally secure than most, or you're more emotionally secure than most. I thought this was interesting though, because it's a family show. BS ain't nothing. I actually do use a lot of these phrases. So I was interested when I read this because I was like, wow, could I be emotionally secure? Maybe. I like to think I am, but check it out. Here's number 1. Let me think about that before I respond. So if somebody says something to you and you really don't know the answer to it, do you just blurt something out because you want to seem smart or seem like you know everything? Or do you take a step back and say, hold up, let me think about that before I respond? I like it, right? Okay. Here's another one. No. I tell people all the time, that's one of my favorite words. No. I ain't got a problem telling somebody no. Can I borrow $1? No. Do I have time for that? No. Will I come to such and such? No. Now, a lot of people would probably be surprised to hear that, because usually I'll say yes to things. I'm not a disagreeable person. I'm a very agreeable person. You know, I'm a very go with the flow type of guy. I'm very easygoing. So it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? But I have no problem setting boundaries and telling people no. That's one of my favorite words. N-O. And it's the same in every language, right? In Russian, it's no. In French, it's no. In English, it's no. No. One of my favorite words and phrases. I'm not comfortable with that. This is a good one. Telling people I'm not comfortable with that. Sometimes people want you to go somewhere. Sometimes people want you to say something. Sometimes people want you to do something. And sometimes you got to tell them, hey, look, I'm not comfortable with that. It's not even necessarily a bad thing, but when it comes to me and mine, I'm just not comfortable with that. And I'm probably not going to indulge in it because I'm not comfortable with that. Here's another one. This is who I am, and I'm proud of it. There it is. I'm all about being an individual. You know, I think it was Janelle Monáe who said, I don't give a if I'm the only one who likes that. I ain't gonna lie. A friend of mine, he know who he is. My man, Big Brad. You know what I'm saying? He called me a little while ago and he was talking about how him and another friend of ours was talking about how they admired me for that. Not trying to break my hand, pat myself on the back. But they said Ed has always been an individual. And we actually think Ed takes delight in the fact that there are some things that he likes or things he get into that nobody else does. And guess what? They're right. I love that. I love being the only one who's into something because it's just for me. It ain't for you. I revel in being an individual. If more people reveled in being individuals, then we would have, everything would be better. Our body politics would be better because people wouldn't just be going along to get along. You know what I'm saying? People wouldn't be afraid to stand alone. A lot of times in my life, I've had to stand alone. And I've even told my sons, being a man means standing alone. Sometimes your friends don't agree with you. Sometimes your mother doesn't agree with you. But if you know you're right and you a man, you stand alone and you'll be all right. And there it is. You know what I'm saying? So that's what's up. You know what I'm saying? I know who I am and I'm proud of it. Amen. What'd they say? Okay, hold on. Here's another one. I will work on that. That's a good one. I guess when somebody critiques you or whatever, do you just get super defensive and be like, man, that ain't me. You tripping. You just putting that on me. Or are you like, well, you know, hold up. I'll work on that. I try to be that guy too. Like, guess what? I didn't necessarily notice that about myself. If you've noticed it, let me try and work on that. Because I'm not perfect. I don't walk on water. Never profess to. You know what I'm saying? So if somebody tell me I got some flaws, I want to fix that. If lines are crossed, I want to put a little straighten on it. Like Pearl Jam, if you get into alternative like me. But anyway, that's a quote. Anyway, moving on. Here's another one. I'm sorry. You're struggling. How can I help? There it is. When you see somebody drowning, do you say, hey man, guess what? I feel for you. I'm sorry you're struggling. How can I help you? Do you get proactive to help other people? I try to do that. I do that at work all the time. Somebody's got a problem. Let me help you with that problem. Right? And let's get past it as a group. I tell them all the time at work, man, we'll thug this thing out together. I got that from a friend of mine. Vizo the shooter. I used to work with that young man, and that's what he always used to tell me, Ed. Ain't nobody else show up to work today, but me and you is cool. We'll thug this thing out. We'll thug it right on out, and we'll get it done together. So there it is. You know what I'm saying? I'm sorry you're struggling. How can I help? I've always been that guy. I like to be I'm a build power, not a destroy power. You know what I'm saying? This matters to me. I will try. Wow. There you go. That's a good one too. This matters to me. I will try. You know, you always want to let people know when they come to you with a concern or a problem that they have, let them know that guess what? I feel you on that. I heard you on that, and I will try. I'm going to try and fix it. I'm going to try and do something about it. You know, I don't want to just talk about it. I want to be about it. I'm going to do something about it. I'm going to get proactive into doing something that goes towards solving this problem that you have. So I'm not saying that I do all of those all the time, but I do like to say that I use a majority of those phrases a lot of the time. So maybe that does say something about my emotional stability. Maybe not so much. Anyway, but that's something to think about. Let that rattle around in your little head. Anyway, moving on. My next thing to talk about is affirmative action. Maybe you've heard about how the Supreme Court just got rid of it. Got rid of it. Listen, they're on a tirade. They're getting rid of everything, right? They got rid of same-sex marriage, pretty much. Now they've gotten rid of affirmative action. They're going to just keep going down the line, ladies and gentlemen. All that stuff that Barack Obama did, they're going to get rid of it. Anything that Joe Biden called himself doing, they're going to get rid of it. Now, and I haven't even gotten into these notes yet, but first of all, let me just take a sidebar because I was watching TV today. Actually, I was watching my phone today, the internet, same TV you watch too these days, the internet. And I was watching AOC, and you know, she was really making it plain. She was really making a lovely case for expanding the court. Now, a lot of people don't like the thought of that. Joe Biden is going to say we're politicizing the court. I just want to smack him upside the head with a frying pan like, Joe, politicizing the court? The ship has sailed on that, buddy. The court has been politicized. What are you talking about? They interject themselves anytime they get a chance. We got these conservative dingbats on there. They were put on there just to do all that. All of this was about this. That Trump presidency. How he got all these nominations on the Supreme Court. How Mitch McConnell blocked Barack Obama from putting Merrick Garland on the Supreme Court. All of this was by grand design. These conservatives, they're pieces of garbage. But they're smart pieces of garbage. You're dealing with some very intelligent pieces of garbage, ladies and gentlemen. And they know what they're doing. This was brilliant. This was brilliant. Because think about it. You can make all the laws you want to, right? But if you have a Supreme Court and we are a country of laws, if that Supreme Court says that this law doesn't stand, then it's gone. Hence, affirmative action being off the table now. They've gotten rid of it. Can you believe that? But it is what it is. But that's all that was about. That conservative majority on the Supreme Court makes it so that no matter what anybody pass, they can shoot it down whenever they feel like. They will shoot it down whenever they feel like. So Joe Biden needs to get rid of that. Now, expanding the court, I don't know. You add more judges. My only thing is, where does it stop? You know, how many more you going to add? 2 or 3 more so that it's even. Then another president gets in there. He want to add 2 or 3 more because he want to have a majority, you know, conservative or majority, liberal, whatever. That's redundant. Where's that going to end? But something's got to give because I do agree with AOC that as long as you have this conservative majority that you have on the court right now, anything Joe Biden does to try and help hardworking Americans is going to be shot down because that's not what these people are interested in. They're interested in ruling with an iron fist, and they don't care about you and me. They don't care about anybody, you know, who ain't in their club, who ain't in that conservative club. They don't care about them, right? So there it is. So let's get into, you know what I'm saying, the horribleness of the day from the Supreme Court. Affirmative action. Supreme Court got rid of affirmative action. Hold up. Said it gave a chance to prove. Oh, there, yes, I'm tripping. Barack Obama said it gave him a chance to prove himself. Barack Obama said there's no way that he could have went to Harvard or did any of that sexy little stuff that he did without affirmative action. Amen. So there's that. Think about that. Joy Reid, who I think is amazing and intelligent. I love that lady. Her show's the bomb. She's the bomb. She said, first of all, she was recruited by Harvard. Somebody came and got her, right? And it wasn't because they were trying to give somebody a chance just because of the color of their skin. They went and found somebody extremely talented who happened to be black and give them a shot. That's what affirmative action was about. Finding people of color and not giving them a shot just because they're people of color, giving them a shot because they're outstanding people of color. These are people whose grades were off the chain. And like she said, I was just some nerdy girl with good grades, but they came and they sought me out. And that's the only reason that I got to go to Harvard to do some of the amazing things I've got to do. Affirmative action, right? All right. So Clarence Thomas despised it. He thought that it meant that he was undeserving, and he wanted to get rid of it, and he did. Now, here's the thing about affirmative action. It only affects 10% of all minorities. So that's Asian, that's Island Pacific, that's Black, that's Native American, that's a Native Islander. There's a whole lot of minorities, and affirmative action only was affecting 10% of them, right? So Black people need to reinvest in HBCUs, if you ask me. I think that's what all of this is boiling down to. If they want to get rid of affirmative action, make it so that you go to some of these upper echelon universities and only see lily white faces, fine. Let that be what it is. I would say to my black youngsters, the smart ones, the ones who are athletically inclined, especially my athletes, my basketball players, my football players, my baseball players, all you young brothers who are off the chain in whatever sport you do, my chess players, somebody there's a brother playing chess blowing them away. I just don't know his name. I would say to that brother and the rest of them other young brothers and sisters, go to a historically black college. If they're right there getting rid of affirmative action, saying that we don't want you in our upper echelon universities, we need to draw back and start investing in our own universities. Because when we did that, then they started coming for us, right? They started wanting us back into there because they don't have nothing without us. None of these colleges would have any type of sports program if all the black kids decided not to come, right? And if I'm wrong, once again, you always in the pushback zone. Feel free to push back on that, but I really don't think there's no pushback on that. If every black child in America said, I'm only going to a HBCU, whoa, I guarantee you things would change. Anyway, and for the better. You know what I'm saying? And there's something to be said about kids learning from people who look like them. Ain't nothing wrong with it. You know what I'm saying? I had private schools that I went to that were majority black. It was a good experience. It was good for me. You know what I'm saying? Now, I went to schools that were majority white too. I've had both in my life. You know what I'm saying? And how about this? Both add something and take something away. There's that. But there is something to be said for learning stuff from people who look like you. It's not always a bad thing, and usually it's a good thing. Anyway, academically, yeah, I already talked about that. Studies show that half the students at these Ivy League universities can barely get 1,200 or 1,600. Well, they can barely get a 1,200 out of 1,600 on their SATs. Most of these white kids got in because of major donations from their parents. Joy Reid even made a joke. She talked about going to school with kids whose names were on the building. You know what I'm saying? Some of the buildings that you went into for your classes. You know, this the Yoderman Hall. This guy's last name is Yoderman. Come on now. I think he gonna be all right. And I think he was gonna get in regardless of whether he had the grades or not. And they said some of these people couldn't even crack a 1,200, let alone get anywhere near that 1,600 on their SATs. Once again, welcome to America. It's all about who you know and not what you know. And a lot of these kids don't know nothing. But you know what they did know? They knew that they had a good last name. And they came from a family with tons of money that can make a big donation, make sure they get into a good school, even though they don't have the grades to cut it. But you mad about affirmative action? That's ridiculous. Now, they also said that Clarence Thomas was mad about affirmative action and couldn't wait to get rid of it. Because I guess the whole time that he was in school, he felt like the white kids were looking down on him and feeling like, oh, you've only been given this opportunity because of the color of your skin and blah, 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 blah. And guess what I say to that? So what, Clarence Thomas? You're an idiot. He's an idiot and a buffoon to get mad about that because guess what? They always gonna talk about you, bruh. You'll never be in their club, bruh. Even if you got a white wife, you are not in their club, bruh. You'll never be in their club, bruh. So why are you mad? They were gonna think that you could have scored the highest grades ever seen in history. They still say you only there because you black. So what? What do you care what they say? You was there, you dazzled them, and then you got the big old job on the Supreme Court just so you could be there and do some other lame stuff and be up under Scalia's butt. Do your history on it. Google that name if you want to go down a rabbit hole and really learn about this Clarence Thomas buffoon. But my whole thing is that guy took issue with affirmative action, something that wasn't even helping all like that. It's really not all that. I mean, it is and it isn't. But then you know what? I said this one not too recently. I think this might be another case of America. Excuse my language. This is a family show, but screwing it to self, trying to screw other people, right? So they got rid of affirmative action, saying, "Yeah, no longer we're going to cater to these minorities and dot, right?" But think about it. Affirmative action has given you superstars. Affirmative action gave you Barack Obama. Affirmative action gave you Clarence Thomas. Say what you will about the guy. He's an intelligent brother. Affirmative action gave you Barack Hussein Obama. Affirmative action gave us Joy Reid. Affirmative action gave us Miss Jackson, the new black, the sister Supreme Court Justice. Affirmative action has given us superstars. So now America might miss out on some of its superstars because it got rid of affirmative action. But that's how America is. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes in trying to screw people of color, they screw themselves. Excuse my language. This is a family show. Anyway, moving on, man. I see my time is drawn out. I don't want to get too crazy with it. Let me keep going here. And let's talk about the Dems and Joseph Robinette Biden, right? He passed the American Rescue Plan, which, hold up. This is something I already talked about. I talked about that last week. See how my notes is getting messed up, ladies and gentlemen? I'm going right to this big chunk of news that I really wanted to talk about. Housing. Housing. This is something to bite off, so check this out. It's a big piece. The housing market is so broken that many 40 and 30-something millennials have no choice but to build homes in their parents' backyards. Did you know that? It is actually illegal to build anything other than a single-family house on 75% of residential land in American cities. These development prescriptions are so pervasive that it is now illegal to build anything other than a single-family house on 70% of residential land in American cities. Single-family zoning restricts the supply of affordable housing, leading to higher costs, displacement, and segregation. There are also accessory dwelling units, or ADUs, which are sometimes called granny flats, backyard homes, in-law suites, or backyard cottages. I've never heard of this, ladies and gentlemen. And then as you see here, they're going to show you here that they say most often these are illegal. Now, these are illegal because they don't even want you making any money off your land. You know, and then now most places will let you add on, but you know there's zoning certificates and stuff. You might have to go. You got to might come out and inspect it, make sure it's sound. Most times you can build on your land, but the thing that there's some places where you can't. And this right here, I think is something a little bit different. This would be almost having like a tiny home in your backyard, which I think that's a great idea. I love that idea. I'm thinking that's something I want to do this next time I run out here and get a house. But my thing is that in some places it's illegal. I'm thinking in a lot of suburbs it's probably illegal. When you get into suburbs, you also get into a lot of homing organizations and stuff like that. They're probably not, homeowner organizations. They're probably not going to want you to do things like this too, because this is you utilizing your land to the best of your ability. Why would they ever want you to do that? So anyway, so these terms all refer to essentially the same thing: an additional unit of housing on a single lot, typically smaller in square footage than the main residence. They include full amenities, a kitchen, a bathroom, along with a separate entry from the primary dwelling. ADUs can either be attached to or detached from an existing house and can either be built from the ground up or be converted from existing spaces like garages, basements, or attics. Come on, once again, I love that idea. And I'd probably have it connected to the house, but just have a door or something that you could open and close, so that people could still be in that house and have their own privacy, but they ain't got to be in the elements when they want to come over to the other house, right? You may have heard of minimalist living trends such as van life or tiny homes, which I was just talking about, tiny homes. But the ADU was the original compact housing. While ADUs are not new, many Americans are unfamiliar with them. A recent Freddie Mac consumer survey found that 71% of homeowners are unfamiliar with the concept. though 32% expressed interest in having one on their property when they learned about it. So there you go. 72% of people had never heard about it, but 32% of people were like, now that I've heard about it, I gotta have it. I agree. I'm one of those people. I heard about that, I gotta have it. So next house I have, there will be a tiny home in the backyard or something, like some kind of add-on. You know what I'm saying? It's almost like its own little house or something in the backyard, you know? It said, we believe ADUs with their social, economic, and environmental benefits should become a more common housing option. More diverse living arrangements are both desirable and necessary. Recent trends, working from home and aging in place, along with a home ownership market that is pricing out younger adults, all demand housing types that are readily available in a market dominated by single-family housing. I agree with that. Los Angeles has had a unique approach to encouraging ADUs. The city recently launched its accessory dwelling unit standard plan program, which offers homeowners and developers the option to select from 20 pre-approved ADU models for construction. That's neat. Plans range from a studio structure of less than 400 square feet to a 1,200 square foot house with 3 bedrooms. State of California also offers homeowners a $40,000 subsidy to encourage the construction of ADUs to make them more affordable. Ladies and gentlemen, that is good legislation right there. Once again, California, who's the governor of California? Gavin Newsom. That's good legislation right there. Here's a man who is incentivizing these ADUs. That's brilliant. We need that, especially California. I reported my last show, they have the highest homeless population in America. Duh. If you're going to be homeless, where you going to do it? You want to do it here in cold Columbus, Ohio? You want to do it nice and warm Long Beach or anywhere in California where it's nice and sunny? If I was homeless, I would be in Southern California. Why? Because it never rains in Southern California. And they tell me. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, that's where I'd be. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm out of here. That is my time. I don't have no IPA for this week, but I'm going to go out here and try and find one I haven't had yet and bring it to you and talk about it. But it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? Love life, love each other, and as always, see you around like a donut.